Hello and welcome to the program. I am Suren. You, my friend, are a magician. How do I know that, do you think? I know because your mind is the prime magician, and it can do all sorts of things you would like to do. It can be all sorts of things you want to be. 1. How can you make your life anything you want to be? 2. How can you free your time of monotony and fill your days with pleasure, health, and love? 3. How can you make happiness and joy a habit with you? 4. How can you use your days and even your sleeping time to add more useful things into your life and add life to your many years to come? I have never heard anyone who has not wished to change their own selves and do better things. There are also people who are gone old before their time and who tend to look back and worry about the wasted lifetime. And the younger people consider that they are only wasting their time and think, if I could only change myself. However, remember that any kind of change has to come directly from within. You have the power. Now you need to find it. One of the secret keys is the only way I can see, and that is your superconscious mind. Superconscious mind is quite capable to delve into what is known as the collective unconscious. And certainly anyone can relate to certain conditions and happenings out of the past, which can be quite fascinating and in fact very much inspiring. Now the collective unconscious is the motivating power and the superconscious. They are the greatest gifts given to every living individual on the face of this planet. Do you know what it is? The marvelous organ you know as your own brain. Although it is not attached to this organ, but you have two parts of consciousness. One is known as conscious mind, and the other is, yes, we have been talking about that, superconscious. Consciousness is that part of your operator mind, and which uses it, and that's your brain, and it uses it every day in your times of awareness, in your waking consciousness. It uses the 5 senses of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. And it thinks, controlling much of your life and your dreams when you are asleep, and finding the secrets of reaching beyond your conscious mind, which you may consider as utterly limited. Then your fantastic superconscious mind indeed takes over. And this is the superconscious that gives a tremendous power to telepathy, clairaudience, hypnotism, clairvoyance, autosuggestion, and more. Your subconscious, or superconscious I should say, mind, unlike your everyday conscious mind, as you know of, operates through an And it keeps in touch with the superconscious mind of every single person on the face of Earth. Can we prove it? Has the past got the proof? Certainly, the knowledge mankind has gained has been transferred from generation to generation long before the means of recording or writing it down. The past proves, although these civilizations were separated by vast seas and great continents, and was able to communicate with one another in any particular way, but did develop the same discoveries. How and why? I say you because every living person, superconscious, is constantly working and transmitting all the information, all the science to all other superconscious minds. That is, to all humanity, believe it or not. Your superconscious is the storehouse of all knowledge. It is hard to look back to the beginnings of it, and that is where the memory of the whole human race lies. The accumulated wisdom of all ages. And it keeps on going. In fact, the superconscious is the secret of the child and the adult genius, the wise man of history and of our days. It is that secret of the people who have been guided by an inner voice that has never failed them. Happy and successful people who found their way out of difficulties, the people who have always lived in the sunshine. Superconscious always knows how to put facts together and how to lead one to correct conclusions. Remember that superconscious mind remembers everything, and it feeds information to the superconscious and then may put it on the back burner, but it never ever forgets it. Superconscious is the secret that guides all of us and can be developed and improved into a constant, dependable guide. Superconscious can bypass other minds and can take absolute control of the conditions of one's physical being. There is a new understanding now in the science of psychology. We are told that it would help people themselves achieve more understanding and accomplish a lot more with their own lives. Many stories are going around to assist people in understanding their own selves. People are becoming more open to very definite ideas about what they really want in life and how to achieve them, whether they are simply or complex. It doesn't matter. However, one needs to understand that superconscious can be controlled, and the type of control can be done with some power of suggestion, or let us call it suggestology. Another way of talking to the superconscious through what we understand as hypnosis. I'm going to edge a new word today, and that is supersense. Maybe you prefer to call it as the sixth sense, as it explains the great power of superconscious, which can gather the much needed knowledge you require. Your memory is a powerful tool. You know that. And it can stagger you to realize how much you may remember from your own experiences, not only other people's experiences. But how can one learn by experience and remember immediately what you can and how? Do you think that you have knowledge enough to change the world in the unexploded recesses of your mind? Perhaps partially put on the back burner, huh? I think we are ready to cross the threshold to mind power. It always has been the position of mankind. Only recently, it has become the basis of latest medical treatment methods. In fact, in the science of medicine, it is found how great and powerful health exists in the right kind of thinking. Question: can you control your thinking at ease? Mind your own mind power. It is indeed waiting for you to use it. Through the ages, this power has turned the ill into the well, the infirm into the active, unhappy and miserable into absolutely happy and fulfilled. However, this, what we are now talking about, gives you the gift to good health and happiness. In other words, the gift of longer life. Interested? And this gift is active, rewarding you with years which are not clouded, covered up with senility. Your increasing years can be the golden harvest years you need, as we all do. And education and self-understanding and making the great use of your own self. You are indeed provided certain rules and regulations to generate this sort of ability. Sometime in the past, I remember reading it in a publication where it has been asked, is happiness a matter of happenstance? Is it a controllable issue? Is it a state over which you have the power of creation or even destruction? It may be habitual and remains for you to literally grow it, even develop it successfully. It is very simple to gain this sort of simple habit, like any other habits and regulations, to understand diseases and ways to conquer them. In fact, I cannot find any medical jargon or any psychiatric or psychological terminology. Can emotions destroy as well as build good health? Is it not impossible to discover the difference between knowing your own emotional self and understanding it? The rules to follow in your fight of health against disease and of ease against dis-ease. The psychology we are talking about comes in two forms: positive and negative thinking, meaning a new and better life for every one of us as human beings. The question is, can we live our lives over again? There are indeed magic powers, and some are hidden within you. But how can one use them? How are you and them into the complexities of the superconscious and find those powers to use them? Anyway, these powers are all within you, within all of us, and so you will be able to find them and be in touch with them. And when you have found them, you will be able to work with them for your own advancement. Let me list them. 1. The superconscious is forever amenable to control by suggestion. 2. The superconscious is incapable of independent reasoning by the process of induction. 3. The power of superconscious to reason deductively from the known premises to correct conclusions is practically perfect. 4. The superconscious is endowed with perfect memory. 5. Superconscious has absolute control of the functions and conditions of the body, including staying younger longer. 6. The superconscious has the power to communicate by means of other than the known channels of the 5 senses. 7. The superconscious is capable of intuition and perception of the laws of nature. Can you make your life, say, 33 or more % longer, or much more % longer? It is scientifically proven that there are the bases by which you are discovering the magic power of your mind. They are indeed the basis by which you are going to use the magic power of your own mind, which you are going to make a new life for your own self with this magic power. Once you acquired this information, this wisdom, the only issue remaining then will be to make the greatest use of it. And this can only be done by increasing your life to a full 24 hours a day, every day of your life. Only by using every single minute of the entire day can you make the greatest use of these magic powers. You alone can make your life be vital. There are few simple rules of living. It doesn't easy ways of making your own self life limitless, happiness, habitual, and giving yourself the wealth that is health. Here is a sincerest word to the truly wise. Many people might think that this is only an old story. It has been said so many times over throughout the history. How can we have any progress? ? How can even a fortunate few know what happiness, serenity, and success is, in whatever form they interpret the success? True, and the secret is very old. That is probably why we can depend on it. But the approach needs to be new, and never before has the superconscious been explained properly. Before Has it been tied too closely to the problem of modern life? Now, you need not be a saint or a genius. You don't need to take many years of your life to understand what is going on in the world. Ancient truths have never been revealed properly and clearly in the new concept of thinking, nor the habit of happiness ever been shown in the easy-to-use format. The secret known to this effect might be repeated in these next few minutes, but it has never been so clearly explained for anybody, anywhere, right in this very moment. If you already have the wisdom and understanding, if you already are familiar with the magic power of your mind, start making this time and this program work for you right now, right in this very moment. If you want to be truly wise and wise enough to know, here we start. Anyone listening to these lines usually find and improve the endless power of one's superconscious. And having done this, you will absolutely know you never before was really as alive as you are now. We will continue. How to start anew in your life and make it more successful and much healthier. Any ideas? Is it at all possible? In fact, believe it or not, many people today think in these possible ways. You are not alone in thinking this way. Many people would think of this in more rhetorical sense. Can one start one's own life over? But it is not rhetorical at all. You can really, literally restart your own life. You have the magic in your mind. You need to have your eyes opened at the wonders of supersense and superconscious. You may not have any idea about the wonderful and magical storehouse of memory within your own mind. We all need to think of restarting our lives. If you seek, you will find it. If you are willing to restart it all over, you will be shown how to. Maybe we all need to start to learn about mind over matter. It is not a theory. It is not a dream, but reality. Remember, that's your mind that controls your entire physicality, your entire being expressed in physical life whilst you are on earth. So it seems a completely new life is waiting for you and for all of us. And we need to have a complete control over our mind and powers of thinking. We need to know, to realize, and to learn about the great powers of meditation and prayer. You see, there are quite a number of hidden powers of your brain, and they are truly magic. This is a key to assist you to live your life over again. And this magic is the source of all your health and all your happiness, of longevity, of success, anything you want out of life whilst you are here on earth. This magical power of your mind, self, is within the grasp of your understanding and reaching out to your own powers. It is not a magic spell, or it cannot be. It is based on pure, solid scientific facts. It is a proven knowledge which human being has had available for generations, but has failed to use it to the full. The magic power of your mind lies within depths of the mind we name as this superconscious. Right. Now it is this level of your mind which is the greatest wonder of nature. It is a huge machine of memories, a powerful controlling mechanism within the segment of human brain that naturally runs the human engine. When comparing it with the conscious mind, that portion of your magnificent computer, which is your brain, with which you are able to think and consciously control all your movements. It is a very massive commodity, as it embodies the thought processes of all time and of all human beings. It is superior, in fact, of upper levels of thinking, operates above and beyond anything and everything that might be realized. It truly is the superconscious. Now, superconscious is always together with the collective unconscious, as once Carl Jung has termed it. And in fact, it is the possessor of man's hidden powers. It is the only means by which you can become consciously creative by employing the unused faculties of the mind. It is the means through which you can reach the solutions to any individual problems which may appear to be unattainable by the conventional mental processes. This is probably why even Socrates was astonished, saying, "Know thyself." When you begin to discover about your own human mechanism, as you do with your mechanical transport vehicles, or let's say your computers, you need truly to discover the reality of what people have termed as miracles. And miracles are nothing more than a natural creation of natural law. As the natural law is yours to utilize, and its natural creations are also yours to create, in fact, the power of miracles is most certainly within you. Remember, your intelligence and emotions control your behavior. This is the magic using your superconscious. Habits, not reason, governs the lives of people, wrote a Dr. Walter Kautu in the book called The Criminal Personality. Knowing this, you will understand better how the human organism works, and you will comprehend why human conduct is the response to varied stimuli. If you would care to understand the human behavior, says Dr. Kautu, investigate the stimuli which produces it. Good advice. You would not have an idea, or hope, or fear, or a desire without the stimulus to bring such a reaction. You would not get hungry or thirsty or angry. You would not want to go fishing or to a walk. You would not get an impulse to steal. Nothing is possible unless there is the push, the stimulus. Correct? Now, emotions play the leading role in offering you those stimuli. A Dr. John A. Schindler, in his book How to Live 365 Days a Year, says that your emotions affect a group of organs in your body called the endocrine glands, even more than that affect your nervous system. These glands govern and regulate body functions. When those glands are activated by such depressive emotions as defeat, futility, and discouragement, their production of hormones is changed, and this can cause a great many ailments. These depressing emotions which you experience are negative forms. Their natural enemies are your positive thoughts. The positive thinking done by an 80-year-old man shows distinctly that you do have a chance your life to live over again, if you truly desire it. This person, as I read it somewhere in the past, died under the wheels of a truck, which struck him down as he was crossing the street. When an autopsy was performed, pathologists found that the man's lungs were scarred with healed tuberculosis lesions, and his stomach showed signs of long-forgotten ulcers. His arteries were terribly hardened. His kidneys were damaged. Yet, his widow said he would always believed he would feel better the next day. What a positive thinking, would you say? This man had not fretted about aches and pains that would have made invalids out of others. Unpleasant emotions get you down. Dr. Schindler writes, they often can make you sick. Pleasant emotions often can make you well and keep you well. You must fight fire with fire. In fact, you must fight bad emotion with good emotion. You need to discover the emotion of love. You need to discover the love of a supreme being, if you like, a God, and particularly your fellow man. And above all, you need to discover your own self in the real world. The means to this knowledge is yours to discover, yours to utilize, yours to benefit by. It is all in your hands. We need to learn about happiness, about health and wisdom and power. How to remake your life? Question mark. Your life is governed by habit. Your habits are governed by yourself. Do not stop absorbing ideas and knowledge. Discover something new every day until you form positive habits that will work for you. Now, there is magic in your mind. A human being is one of the most miraculous and magical entities of all the living things on this planet Earth. And you have the powers, my friend, within you, and which it seems you do not use. Correct? You have the power to do anything you want. You have the power to change your entire life. And you can do all the things you want of it. You are the only owner of that power, which you need to use, which will open up the road to happiness and good health, wealth, and long life. You are, as a member of the human race, are part of that heaven's given miraculous human. Human has conquered his environment and his world and continued to seek conquest as he discovered and still discovering and utilizing the mysteries of existence. You can indeed make all your findings and use those powers as you need to. These are vast, in fact, far more than you may realize. Before you is a great and easily tapped new adventures. So marvelous is this creation called man, despite all his seeming development, as we are able to trace it in his history upon this planet, has hardly scratched the surface of his own capabilities. If you wanted to draw a picture of a competitive work a lot, it might be okay to say that man has penetrated no deeper into himself than the depth of his own skin, immediately beneath of which comes the flesh, the bones, and finally the heart of the matter. This miracle is the man who is known less than that of a medical observation, that of the mysterious setting in which he is found, the universe. Many resources that he has not yet tapped, remaining as the unknown parts and the resources of that universe he is a dweller in. Thanks to the resources of the universe, one can only conjure up a picture of things far beyond the ability of man's powers. But the resources of man are closer at hand. They are indeed within him. That, my friend, is you. Your resources are yours to use. You may have done nothing even to research into what potentials you have until now. And this is so great that once you start to use it, there are no limits to what you can do. You have a magnificent gift. You probably use it daily, but do you do anything consciously with it? Is it something impossible? Imagine now a child with a soft pencil in his hands. Each day that child takes up his pencil and scribbles. He's not able to write or compute yet. He cannot even draw. But while he's using the pencil every day, he actually does nothing with it. What is then your miraculous gift, would you say? Whose powers you use so casually? Your miraculous gift is indeed your brain with a miraculous mind. Indeed, in your brain lies the power to make use of all your untapped resources. Remember, you are not only in that resourceful and enriched universe. It is also within you. And this gift is more richer and more than of a gift than that. Your mind not only supplies the power to use your potentialities, it also holds all the resources you possess. Your miraculous gift, your mind, is the most vital of all your valuable possessions. That is your greatest asset. Indeed, that gift can bring you longer life, better health, greater wealth, increased happiness, more vitality, and your mind gives you the power to control all the aspects of a full life and full living. We all need to understand the meaning of this power. You need to discover just what man is, what his mind is about. We need to discover where man comes from and why he has a compartment called the mind. There are many theories in regards to man's beginnings. But to understand that man, alone among all the living things on earth, has the power of mind that makes it plain that man is the work of some greater creative force. His beginnings must have been purposeful. The greatest challenge that faces man is the challenge that you too will take up as you progress in the school of life, and to discover what that purpose is, and then use the power of that discovery. The theory of man's beginnings can be confusing, for there is an understanding according to who actually tells it. Scientists trace this planet to its earliest days, each arriving at his own theory, or how the universe came about. When it comes to the beginnings of life on this planet, most are agreed upon that the first stirrings of life was a somewhat jelly-like organic mass floating on the waters of the sea or a lake. Those who take the Bible literally are faced less of an enigma. For the issue becomes final. The opening words of the Old Testament relieve them of any uncertainty forgetting that it too is repeating the words of former books of creation in this area of knowledge. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. There was a God and was transmuted into fact. The fundamentalist beliefs may not help us to understand ourselves, as well as the scientific theory of the evolution of man. But man's evolution is part of an infinite plan in which man either progresses or regresses by his own efforts, individually and collectively. If we believe that man's early start was millions of years ago, as the development of a single organic cell in the oceans, or that is sprung as a fully grown person from the mind of the Creator in some Garden of Eden, I prefer to take it with a pinch of salt. Each theory recognizes the prime cause as being a creator. Each theory hinges on the fact that some power brought to this earth the first germ of life. The creation of this miracle is no less wonderful regardless of the belief, whether it started in some form of plant life and developed through countless ages to the highest product of today's civilization, or if the whole were created within 6 days. To comprehend it better why we behave as we do, we may need to study the earliest man as we have been able to trace him. The human ancestors showed intellectual priority over other animals that roamed the planet Earth. The early man's ability to stand upright gave him the ability better able to do many things. Primarily, he was probably able to put his forelimbs to use no other animal could. But the height he thus achieved made it possible for him to see further and over a wider area. He therefore was able to protect himself far more easily. Using his size rather than his more limited sense of smell to see dangers far away, he also was able to use his arms and hands to ward off and fight those dangers when they were close at hand. Best was the fact that this intelligence permitted him to make even greater use of his arms and hands. It is important to understand that these primary urges of survival are buried deep in humans of today also, as his biological background. Knowing these things and understanding them are entirely different. What needs to be understood and recognized certain basic facts if we are interested in using the powers we possess. Men of the past discovered that the human mind is very capable of amazing potentialities, but did not realize nor recognize them from what source they were coming from. Those powers were attributed to the soul. According to the ancients, his soul was in his solar plexus. People still believe in this today. Well, some. The Greek word for diaphragm, the muscular section of the body that separates the abdomen from the chest cavity, in front of which is the nerve center, which we call the solar plexus, is phren. Current use as part of words as frenzy, frantic, no longer credited signs of phrenology, and even schizophrenia is evidence of this original meaning. We know today that the inner power of man, his wisdom, emanates from the mind. A biologist, Michael F. Geyer, has stated that man is an animal, but an animal with an analytical, directing consciousness. Then he also possesses a deeper consciousness. This deeper consciousness, this superconscious, has resources so astounding that they have often, in the past and even in this very age, been attributed to soul power or to so-called supernatural sources. The power and wisdom that are man's stem from his superconscious. The superconscious, the root of your mind's power, is a vast storehouse of memory from which you can tap and calculate amounts of wisdom. It is this storehouse of what psychiatrist Carl Jung calls the collective unconscious, the sum total of all man's knowledge, wisdom, and power since his creation. It is a storehouse you can easily enter. It's a storehouse of treasures you have the ability to use. It is the storehouse whose contents will give you the power to do so. Psychology, the science of the mind, deals mainly with the conscious mind, the so-called objective or analytical mind. But psychology sheds little light on complexity of human impulses. It tells very little about the perplexities that are the impulses, the emotions, and the feelings of the human. Psychology, or as it should be called now, the old psychology, is an abstract consideration of human thoughts and behavior. For your purposes, it is entirely very academic to be of real help. It cannot help you solve the practical problems you are called on to face every day in the complex situations of modern society. Man has a multiple nature. Most of his mental powers and mental processes do not take place in the realm of the mind known as the conscious. Therefore, any interpretation of human thoughts and conduct that deals only with the conscious perception and the reasoning processes of mind is entirely too limited in scope of understanding to be of use to you in comprehending your own self. As the majority of your mental processes take place in this superconscious, the process of conscious reasoning alone will not enable you to understand fully the true motives and what you think and do. Much less will the process of conscious reasoning help you to understand effects that the emotional thinking of the superconscious has on your very health and well-being. Consciousness is only the end result of the hidden processes of the human organism. The true nature of these hidden processes usually remains unknown to you, or at least obscured. The mental of the superconscious. The idea that man is, with a brain that functions as if he were fashioned with a dual mentality, is not new. This dualism of mine has been a metaphor, speculation for philosophers through many ages. The ancient Greek philosophers believed that the dual character of man's mental operators represented a division of body and soul. All mental phenomena were interpreted in terms of the so-called supernatural, the powers of gods and devils. Victor Hugo seemed to grasp the real truth when he wrote, "I sent two natures within me." Certainly, Robert Louis Stevenson, the great little genius, literary genius I should say, had a clear understanding of human nature when he conceived his famous novel, His Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In the 7th chapter of his letter to the Romans, Apostle Paul confessed that he seemed to possess a double nature. He wrote, "For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Now if I do that, I would not. It is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find then that when I would do good, evil is present within me. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh, the law of sin." Many centuries before Apostle Paul recorded his illuminating introspections, Plato, like man, charioteer, driving a white horse and a black horse, one noble and the other one ignoble. Man then does have double nature. One part of it is emotional or animalistic. The other part is spiritual or intellectual. But while this has been accepted fact for centuries, it has only been recently that scientists have started to discover the psychological and neurological significance of this multiple nature. As wonderful as has been man's physical evolution, it has been surpassed by the growth of his mental faculties. Most people are inclined to believe that man's conscious mind represents his greatest mental advancement. There is no doubt as to the greatness of this, but in comparison to the vast development of man's superconscious, the growth of the conscious is infinitesimal, because in man's superconscious lie understanding powers. They are outstanding. Therein lies vast wisdom, and all these powers and this wisdom are there to be used. They need to be tapped. You need only to realize that they are there, but that they can be used. You will then find that these powers and this wisdom are yours to do greater things with, yours to achieve things you have dreamt of, but you never believed possible. In your superconscious lies the key to success, the clue to happiness, the formula to health. Your superconscious mind contains a vast storehouse, all how to do it, how to do anything you want to do. Your superconscious mind is even more than a storehouse of knowledge or wisdom and of power. It is also a transmitter and receiver of ideas from the superconscious minds of others. By opening the channels of your superconscious, you stand on the threshold of life as it should be lived. Living will take on new meaning, new wonder, new power, new belief, and new health. Your superconscious held or holds the secret of your new life. You and I, yes, we all have to generate new powers, one of which happens to be the brain power. And we are going to talk about this important issue by the next episode. In the meantime, keep well, be happy, and smile often. Thank you.